Did Hugh Ross wake a man up from an incurable coma with just the word of God? That seems to be what he's saying, and anyone who falls for that is a complete idiot. So, let's go see what's what. Hugh Ross is a more or less moderate Christian apologist, an astrophysicist who never really did anything useful in science, so he turned to religion. Now, generally, I don't mind him that much. I remember hearing him do a radio debate with creationist idiot Dwayne Gish many years ago, and he wiped the floor with Gish. But every once in a while, you have to be reminded that even the most moderate crazies are still in it for the money, and honesty really doesn't mean a thing. So let's go watch Ross present a story and why not only doesn't it matter, but why no one ought to believe any of it ever happened at all.
I got a call from a nurse at a hospital, and she said, I have a patient who's a physicist, he's an atheist, he's in his last days of life. Can you please come and make a chaplain call?
No details given at all. What nurse? What hospital? When did this happen? Because these things are important to anyone who wants to validate this tale. The only reason those details wouldn't be given is because A, it didn't happen, and this is just an empty claim provided to believers to make them feel good, or B, it's actually a breach of protocol to call in some outside pastor to talk to a family that doesn't want to be bothered. B might be a valid reason, but I think that A is really the most accurate reason in this case.
So I did. I walked into his room, and his wife and his daughter were there as well. And the wife said, well, who are you and why are you here? So I explained why. And she said, well, we're atheists. My husband and I would be highly offended by this.
And you did it anyhow. Now, I know from personal experience that hospital chaplains do tend to be pushy, obnoxious assholes who really don't want to take no for an answer, and you have to threaten them before they'll go away and leave you alone. Trust me, I've been in that situation, and I had to tell the guy that I was going to file a complaint with the hospital if he didn't get the hell out of my room and not come back. These people, they really don't care about your wishes, they just want to justify their paycheck. Screw these people.
I said, well, tell you what, I'll share with you what I plan to share with him, and if you think it's inappropriate, I'll just leave.
And, of course, that's a lie. Now, I can't speak for anyone else, so I can't say what might have happened in any real scenario. If there was any real scenario, which I doubt, but if it was me, I would have said no, get out, don't come back, and slammed the door in his face. No means no. Any worthwhile human being would have respected the wishes of the wife when she said, no, we'd be offended. But the religious aren't decent human beings much of the time, are they?
And so I began to outline the plan of salvation, but I said it in a loud enough voice that I knew the physicist could hear. And the daughter was sitting right beside him. And about halfway through, she said, he's squeezing my hand.
Yeah, sure he is. And then he got up and danced a jig. Because if things like this happened, if they actually happened at the rate that the religious seem to think that they do, then these would be written up in respected medical journals all the time. But they're not, because these things don't happen with any regularity, if they happen at all. And Hugh here would be telling us where it happened, to whom it happened, and be giving us lots of details. But he's not for a reason. Because it's all just a made-up fantasy.
And the wife said, that's impossible. He hasn't made a move in days. And I continued to finish the gospel presentation, and towards the end he said, he opened his eyes.
He said he opened his eyes? Who said? I mean, you were supposedly there. Why would he have to say anything? you really have to scrutinize what these people are saying, because often they will just betray themselves. This is being told like it's something that actually happened to Hugh Ross, yet that single statement at the end now makes me think that this is a story that was told to Ross, that he's relating it to an audience, probably as promotion for his book. So, which is it? Is Hugh saying that his salvation story brought someone out of their coma? Or is it just a tale that he heard somewhere, an unjustified, unsupported story at that he's trying to tell to sell more books? Because in neither case do we get any justification that this story is something that we should believe. Not in the video and not in the description for the video. Because Ross knows that nobody listening to this story will care whether or not it's true. It fits into their preconceived notions for their blind faith, thus, they're not going to ask any questions. And the religious apologists, as shysters, know this and they exploit it. But I took a look at this video, not because of Hugh Ross, but because of what happened in the comments to this video. Now, to his credit, Ross leaves the comments open, which is more than I can say for a lot of other apologists. But someone popped up and said, yeah, life is so easy. Some guy just preached to another guy and he came out of a coma. Makes you wonder why church people don't just walk into every hospital and instantly wake everyone out of a coma. And I responded, because it's all made up nonsense, presented without evidence, of course. And other people asked similar questions. Where did this happen? What date did this miraculous event take place? And nothing. Just nothing. Ross doesn't respond at all. And of course he doesn't, because he just made it all up. But someone responded to me and said, not so. I know someone personally that was healed of Tourette syndrome by the power of Jesus. I understand there is some nonsense out there, but Hugh Ross isn't one of those people that play. Of course he is. So I asked this person for data to back up that claim, and of course, all the excuses come out. Well, I wouldn't lie. I don't have access to the medical records. I don't have to prove anything to you, and you wouldn't believe me anyhow. But that's simply not how this stuff works. Those are all just excuses to get around the requirement to back up claims. So finally, I responded to this person. That's because you have no rational reason to think that Jesus was involved. It fits into your religious narrative, so you believe it blindly. And that's called confirmation bias. It is not rational. All of these stories are intended to appeal to an uncritical audience on emotional grounds. You don't ask the hard questions, and Ross doesn't have any answers for the people who do, because he knows that people will throw money at him and buy his book because he says things that make them feel good. This is a scam. It's the same reason motivational speakers make millions and draw huge crowds selling nonsense that doesn't actually work, because they're appealing to emotion, not fact. And you fall for it, because that's how these people operate. At the end of the day, it's all pretty pathetic once you know what to look for. Emotional pandering made by those who stand to make a profit, lapped up uncritically by the suckers who are all too willing to fork over their hard-earned cash to some shyster out to make a buck. None of these claims stand up to a moment's critical scrutiny. They are all intellectually empty. Even if this coma patient woke up at that convenient point in the story, there's no reason to think that God did it. But that's the narrative these people want to spin to sell more books. There is no rational evaluation involved in the audience. They're all rubes. They get taken advantage of because they're not smart enough to avoid it. And it takes people like me to watch them get fleeced, then point it out, and they get really upset. Not that they got taken, but that I dared to notice. Honestly, what in the hell is wrong with these people?
Boom, dicky, 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 boom, dicky. bum.